What truly happens when vast swathes of a nation are plunged into darkness, vanishing not only from the grid, but from daily life itself? What do people feel, and how do societies respond when their very foundations are shaken by the sudden disappearance of light and order? On October 15th, in the year 2023, 7 major Ukrainian regions, including the bustling capital, were hurled into sudden, sweeping blackouts. In a single night, subways froze mid-tunnel, businesses and hospitals lost all power, and millions were forced to swap routine for dread. The hum of daily life was silenced, replaced by the anxious hush of uncertainty. This was no accident. It was a calculated, coordinated assault, one aimed at the very bedrock of society. Infrastructure is not just a convenience, it is the backbone of survival. When the lights vanish, so does any sense of safety or normalcy, and the consequences are both immediate and devastating. Consider this: subways grind to a halt, communications break down, and neighborhoods are severed from essential services. Hospitals fight to keep life-saving equipment running on thin reserves. Grocery stores shutter their doors, making even the simple act of buying bread a near impossibility. Parents scramble to keep their children warm and fed as heating systems fail. Each blackout chips away at the fragile sense of security that keeps society functioning. These outages are not collateral damage, they are a weapon. The target is not only the military, but every civilian's ability to function and to hope. Ignoring these attacks as background noise means missing the true danger, a deliberate strategy that could unravel an entire population's will to endure. This is not about inconvenience. It is about life and death, trust and despair. Whole regions are left exposed, not only to the bitter winter, but to the slow breakdown of society itself. Ukraine's crisis now extends far beyond military lines. As critical infrastructure buckles under pressure, the country faces a new existential test of resilience. The war for Ukraine has entered a new and perilous phase, one where power grids, railways, and data lines are as crucial as tanks and artillery. The battlefield now stretches through every corner of civilian life, blurring the line between front and rear, soldier and citizen. Russian strikes on Ukrainian infrastructure are no longer sporadic. They have become a calculated campaign. Waves of drones and missiles, along with covert sabotage, hammer electricity substations, rail networks, and command hubs. These attacks are designed to cripple Ukraine's ability to move troops, manufacture weapons, and maintain the rhythm of daily life. The impact is felt immediately. Instead of brief blackouts, entire production chains grind to a halt. Military supplies arrive late or not at all. Ordinary people, too, are plunged into sudden darkness and silence, their routines shattered, their sense of security eroded. Each attack ripples through the economy, stoking fear and uncertainty. Social media fills with haunting images, cities swallowed by shadows, metro stations abandoned, and families huddled in candlelight. The psychological toll is immense. Every hour without power chips away at public morale, turning anxiety into exhaustion. Even the most advanced Western technology struggles to keep pace with the evolving threat. Patriot missile systems, once seen as a shield, cannot intercept every drone or missile. High-tech helmets and battlefield gadgets are quickly overtaken by new Russian tactics, exposing the gaps between innovation and real combat needs. But the cost is deeper than inconvenience. Losing infrastructure paralyzes defense, fragments society, and shakes the confidence of Ukraine's allies. When energy grids fail and trains stop, national unity teeters, and the very will to resist is tested like never before. As Ukraine faces cascading blackouts and logistical breakdowns, the government and citizens are forced to improvise under mounting pressure. The next phase will reveal whether resilience and adaptation can match the scale of the threat. Imagine a city where life slows, falters, and starts to unravel, one blackout at a time. Each day, another district goes dark. Each night, rumors and uncertainty creep closer, turning the familiar into a test of nerves and grit. This is the new reality gripping Ukraine. Russian forces have shifted tactics, embracing a thousand cuts approach, Small, relentless attacks that rarely make headlines on their own, but together inflict enormous and growing damage. They strike soft spots and vital supply routes, stretching defenders thin and forcing impossible choices. Protect the front lines or risk catastrophe elsewhere. Ukraine's best-trained troops and resources are clustered around embattled hotspots. Elsewhere, under-equipped territorial defense units are left to hold the line. Their mission is grueling: repel sudden raids, shield supply convoys, and keep roads open, all while dodging drone strikes and sabotage teams in places once thought safe. Strikes on power grids and transport hubs are now routine and ruinous. When the lights go out in a regional center, factories fall silent. Trains grind to a halt, making it harder to move ammunition or humanitarian aid. Even hospitals can be plunged into darkness, forcing critical surgeries to pause or relocate by candlelight. These failures ripple outward. A single hit on a transformer or rail junction is felt not just by soldiers at the front, but also by shopkeepers, students, and families hundreds of kilometers away. Blackouts are no longer shocks. They are the new normal, and every outage chips away at collective resolve. The line between civilian and military targets blurs. A drone strike on a rail depot disrupts troop movements, but also strands families and medical supplies. Air raids on energy sites leave entire cities exposed, uncertain if heat, water, or communication will return with the dawn. Demoralization grows in the darkness. Social media fills with images of powerless streets and stories of hardship. Rumors swirl of collapsing cities, shortages, and looming evacuations. Trust in leaders and hope for the future are tested as each attack deepens the crisis. Western experts now warn that even the largest cities, including Kyiv, could face the once unthinkable mass evacuation. As power grids buckle and supply lines fray, defending urban centers becomes a race against time. The fabric of daily life is unraveling, and Ukraine risks not only losing ground, but the cohesion and resilience needed to endure a grinding war. This is no longer just a contest for territory, but a struggle for the nation's spirit, where every day under siege threatens to tip the balance. Yet beneath the mounting pressure, Ukrainians adapt in unexpected ways. Their response to crisis reveals both the costs and the limits of resilience. The shockwaves deepen. Can Ukraine withstand the mounting crisis, or will cascading failures unravel the nation's core? Each barrage brings heavier strain to Ukraine's battered energy grids and vital supply routes. Decision-makers must now choose which regions to save and which to sacrifice. Entire swaths, Kyiv, Kharkiv, Dnipro, and surrounding areas, endure days of darkness as city centers lose light, heat, and the hum of daily life. Hospitals postpone all but the most urgent care. Schools shutter or retreat to the digital sphere. Tens of thousands of businesses stay dark, livelihoods evaporating overnight. Ordinary families scramble to secure backup power and warmth, while essential workers, medical staff, engineers, and exhausted repair crews face unending shifts and impossible odds. Some of the country's most talented experts begin to quietly slip away, chasing safety and certainty abroad. Resilience is tested everywhere. Communities improvise, soup kitchens multiply, shelters fill, and neighbors share dwindling supplies. Yet even the most resourceful networks strain as the scale of disruption threatens to overwhelm them. Conflicting news, rumors, and viral misinformation surge across social media, eroding trust in official updates and sowing doubt among citizens. International support, once swift, now slows to a crawl. Aid packages are delayed by bureaucracy and shifting priorities. Weapons shipments stall amid new paperwork and political debate, just as donor nations face their own crises and elections. The urgency that once galvanized the world now feels diluted, even as Ukraine's needs become more desperate. Meanwhile, Russia signals its intention for a long siege. Factories accelerate, with plans to produce over 1,000 armored vehicles within 3 years. Strategic reserves are stockpiled, and officials prepare for a drawn-out war of attrition, aiming to grind down resistance over time. The battle for perception intensifies. Official statements compete with viral speculation, confusion seeping into both Ukrainian and international audiences. As faith in leadership is shaken, so too is the spirit of collective resistance. If Ukraine and its partners cannot outpace these shocks, the dangers are clear: chronic decline, mass flight, and a fraying society. The nation's endurance and future as a resilient sovereign state hangs by a thread. The crisis reaches a tipping point. Survival now depends on rapid adaptation, innovation, and the fragile threads of solidarity that remain. What comes next will shape Ukraine's fate for generations. Survival in modern war no longer depends on sheer force of arms. Instead, the true battle is for resilience, the quiet, stubborn ability to withstand chaos, confusion, and fear. As Ukraine faces unending attacks on its energy grid, logistics, and daily life, the question becomes urgent. How can any nation endure when the usual order collapses? Adapting to each crisis is essential, but it is only a temporary shield. To achieve real resilience, a country must build deep reserves: food, fuel, water, and medical supplies. Its logistics must be nimble, able to reroute around shattered roads or severed rail lines. Information must flow clearly, managed by leaders who can steady nerves and direct action, even as rumors and panic swirl. The groundwork for survival must be laid long before disaster arrives. But resilience is not only about stockpiles or plans. It is also about spirit. If trust breaks, if citizens lose faith in their leaders or in the news they hear, then fear spreads faster than any missile. Misinformation can freeze a city, disrupt evacuations, and sap the will to resist. In this kind of war, clear voices and visible leadership are as vital as electricity or running water. Every blackout, every evacuation, every sleepless night tests not just soldiers, but ordinary people. The real contest is for the invisible threads holding society together: shared purpose, mutual aid, and the belief that tomorrow is worth fighting for. Without these, even the best-equipped army cannot hold the line, and the strongest infrastructure cannot be rebuilt. International support must move beyond weapons and ammunition. Lasting survival depends on rebuilding schools, hospitals, and power plants. It requires stabilizing the economy and defending civil society, so that the country can recover long after the headlines fade. Ukraine, or any nation under siege, needs help not only to defend its borders, but to restore its spirit and safeguard its future. The danger is simple and profound. If societies fail to learn these lessons, if resilience is neglected at every level, they remain exposed. Collapse does not always announce itself with explosions. Sometimes it arrives quietly, as trust drains away and order unravels, one day at a time. Yet even as the pressure mounts, every crisis reveals both vulnerabilities and unexpected strengths. The future will depend on which lessons are learned, and how quickly nations can adapt to this new age of warfare. The crucial question now is not who launches more missiles or controls more land. It is this: who will endure longer, the aggressors, or those who keep society functioning amid blackout and fear? As Ukrainian cities descend into darkness, the conflict spills beyond the battlefield. It seeps into homes, hospitals, control centers, and shelters beneath the earth. The fall of energy grids, halted trains, and the silent dread as entire districts lose power are no longer background details. They are the new front lines. This is a war of endurance, measured in cold nights and silent streets. Each strike that shatters infrastructure deepens the ordeal, not just for soldiers, but for every civilian. Can neighborhoods adapt to rolling blackouts? Will families still trust one another and the institutions that stagger on? The real fight is whether people can summon enough resilience when survival means constant adaptation, finding light, warmth, clean water, safety. Across the world, many watch these stories unfold from afar. Yet beneath the headlines, the human cost is felt in every room: parents calming children as temperatures fall, surgeons operating by candlelight, volunteers braving danger to restore vital connections. The pressure is unrelenting. Every day people endure, they send a message. Societies are not only stitched together by wires and pipelines, but by shared determination. If we follow only the numbers or shifting front lines, we miss the heart of the crisis. The collapse of infrastructure threatens far more than comfort. It tears at trust, fractures social bonds, and erodes hope. But the strength to persevere, to adapt and continue, may be the truest victory. This conflict is not only about who wins or loses, but about how people survive and what they become under constant strain. As attacks continue and uncertainty mounts, we must ask, do we truly see what endurance demands? And are we prepared, wherever we are, for the day our own resilience is tested in ways no headline can predict? Let us look back through history for perspective. During the Second World War, the Blitz on London saw entire neighborhoods bombed nightly, with thousands forced into underground shelters. Despite the destruction, communities came together, sharing food, water, and hope. Children played in the rubble by day, and families sang songs by candlelight at night. Their resilience was not only in their ability to rebuild homes, but in keeping their spirit alive. Similarly, in 2005, Hurricane Katrina devastated New Orleans. Power was lost for weeks, and entire communities were submerged. The city's social bonds were tested as rumors and misinformation spread, but grassroots volunteers, neighbors and strangers alike, banded together to distribute food, rescue the stranded, and rebuild. The lesson was clear. Infrastructure matters, but so do faith and solidarity. Practical steps emerge from these examples. First, communities must establish local crisis response groups before disasters strike. These can be neighborhood watch teams, volunteer fire brigades, or digital networks that relay verified information. Second, families and businesses should create basic emergency kits: flashlights, batteries, canned food, water purification tablets, and blankets. Hospitals and businesses need backup generators and fuel reserves. Schools can develop remote learning plans to ensure education continues even when buildings close. Third, local governments must invest in resilient infrastructure, smart grids that can reroute power, underground cables less susceptible to attack, and mobile water purification systems. These investments are costly, but the price of inaction is far greater. Fourth, clear communication channels are essential. Authorities must provide regular, honest updates, even when the news is grim. In the absence of information, rumors fill the void. Internationally, donor nations can offer more than weapons: expert civil engineers, portable power stations, and support for independent media. After all, the restoration of a school or hospital can be as vital a signal of hope as the delivery of arms. Crucially, mental health support must not be neglected. War and disaster leave invisible scars. Counseling hotlines, community centers, and faith groups can offer solace and guidance. In Ukraine, many of these steps are underway. Volunteer networks deliver food to the elderly in darkened cities. IT specialists build encrypted apps for emergency communication. Engineers work round the clock to patch broken substations, sometimes using scavenged parts. In Kyiv, citizens have organized soup kitchens in subway stations, providing warmth and nourishment as bombs fall above. But no level of preparation can make a society invulnerable. What matters is the willingness to adapt, to learn, and to help one another. The question debt, the uncertainty, will Ukraine hold, or will it break under the weight of 1,000 cuts? The answer, as history and present events show, will not come solely from the actions of leaders or the arrival of aid. It will emerge from the grit of millions: shopkeepers, teachers, parents, nurses, engineers, who wake each day in darkness, yet choose to carry on. As the world watches, let us not only count missiles or measure territory gained and lost. Let us recognize the deeper contest of will, of hope, of spirit. For in the end, the true front lines of this war are not drawn by tanks or drones, but by the choices people make in the face of fear. Whether in Kyiv, London, New Orleans, or any city that may one day face crisis, the lesson is clear. Resilience is built not only in the light, but in the darkest hours. The measure of a nation, and of its people, is not how they avoid hardship, but how they endure, adapt, and eventually rise again. Let us close the question debt by asking, as the shadows lengthen and hardship deepens, will the bonds that hold Ukraine, and all societies, prove strong enough to outlast the night? The answer, forged in darkness, will echo for generations to come.